House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler unleashed his first post-Mueller report subpoena for a witness from the Mueller report to testify to his committee. Today, former Trump White House counsel Don McGahn is that first subpoenaed witness. Don McGahn is the personification of history repeating itself, just as Richard Nixon's White House counsel became a star witness in the last investigation of a Republican president. White House counsel Don McGahn is the star witness in the second half of the redacted Mueller report, in which Don McGahn is quoted as saying the president was always asking him to do, quote, crazy crap, much of which Don McGahn seemed to believe was illegal, crazy crap. In the redacted Mueller report, Don McGahn was in the Oval Office when the president first discovered that Robert Mueller was appointed special prosecutor, and the president said, oh my God, this is terrible. This is the end of my presidency. I'm effed. Don McGahn heard the president say that. He will testify that he heard the president say that. He's going to testify to all of that in the House Judiciary Committee next month on May 21st. But before that, the same subpoena that requires Don McGahn's testimony demands that he deliver documents to the committee just 2 weeks from now so that the committee can prepare for his testimony. And the committee is demanding a massive trove of documents from Don McGahn. Jerry Nadler is demanding all documents in Don McGahn's possession that relate to 36 different things, beginning with statements by Michael Flynn to Federal Bureau of Investigation regarding contacts with Sergei Kislyak, to the termination of James Comey, to the termination, whether contemplated or actual, of special counsel Robert Mueller, to presidential pardons, whether possible or actual, for Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Michael Cohen, Rick Gates, Roger Stone, individuals associated with the Trump campaign, or individuals involved in matters before the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. This is exactly the same subpoena that Don McGahn would be receiving tonight if House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler announced today that he was beginning impeachment hearings. And so it appears that the House Judiciary Committee is beginning an investigation that looks exactly like an impeachment investigation, but is not called an impeachment investigation, but could easily switch into official impeachment mode at any moment. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been publicly and privately trying to push Democrats away from impeachment talk for over a year now. She did not want Democrats talking about impeachment in the last congressional election, in which the Democrats won back the House of Representatives. But sometimes history looms larger than day-to-day politics in the House of Representatives, and the redacted Mueller report has now delivered history into the hands of the House of Representatives, specifically the Judiciary Committee. And for Democrats who want to avoid impeachment, they now have to contend with the most famous member of the House of Representatives, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who now favors impeachment, and leading presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren, who told Rachel Maddow this about impeachment on Friday night.
This isn't about politics. This isn't even specifically about Donald Trump himself. It is about what a president of the United States should be able to do and what the role of Congress is in saying, no, a president does not get to come in and stop an investigation about a foreign power that attacked this country or an investigation about his own wrongdoing. Equal justice under law. No one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States. It is the constitutional responsibility of Congress to follow through on that.
On Friday night, Senator Warren told Rachel that she is in favor of impeachment in the House of Representatives, even if the Republican-controlled Senate will not vote to remove the president, because, she said, it is a point of principle.
There are times when it's beyond politics, when it is a point of principle, to stand up and say, no president can do this.
That was Friday night. By Sunday morning, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee was saying something very similar.
Impeachment is likely to be unsuccessful. Now, it may be that we undertake an impeachment nonetheless. I think what we are going to have to decide as a caucus is what is the best thing for the country.
Speaker Pelosi led a conference call of House Democrats tonight. We will be joined by a congressman who was on that call in a moment. The Washington Post reporting on the call tonight says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told lawmakers Monday that there are no plans to immediately open impeachment proceedings against President Trump, rejecting calls from several Democrats to initiate steps to try to oust the president. In a rare Monday night conference call, the California Democrats stressed that the near-term strategy in the wake of Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III's report is to focus on investigating the president and seeing where the inquiries lead. But Pelosi's message did not go over well with several Democrats who argued that Congress has a duty to hold Trump to account with impeachment, despite the political blowback Pelosi has long feared. Representative Val Demings, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, argued that as someone with more than 25 years of experience in law enforcement, she thought the House had enough evidence to proceed. Representative Jared Huffman said the party has a duty to openly discuss the downside of not impeaching Trump for his actions and the precedent it could set for the future. Leading off our discussion tonight is a Democratic member of Congress who was on that conference call tonight, Congressman David Cicilline of Rhode Island. He is a member of the all-important House Judiciary Committee. Also joining us tonight, Brad Miller, a former Democratic congressman from North Carolina. He worked on the Democratic legal strategy to enforce subpoenas against the George W. Bush administration. And Mika Oyang is with us. She's a former staff member of the House Intelligence Committee. And Congressman Cicilline, let me start with you and the conference call tonight. What can you tell us about that call? Was it a call that you would describe as mostly agreeable, or was there a lot of dissension about impeachment?
No, there's a tremendous consensus within the caucus. The Speaker has made it very clear publicly and again on this call that the House of Representatives will not shirk its responsibilities and will hold this president accountable and will defend our democracy. And there was really a discussion first from all of the chairs of the committees of relevant jurisdiction, kind of an update about next steps. The Judiciary Committee will begin a series of hearings that will further explore some of the things we've learned in the Mueller report. But there was a recognition that this report is breathtaking in its scope. It speaks of a sophisticated campaign by the Russians, a foreign adversary, to attack our election, and the willingness of the Trump campaign and officials of the Trump campaign to openly embrace that assistance for their electoral benefit. And then it went on to talk about 10 instances of obstruction of justice and found the president engaged in acts which would constitute obstruction, but essentially concluded that because the president can't be charged because of a DOJ memorandum, that there was no point in doing further analysis. And then, frankly, the most important part of that report is the special counsel reminds Congress at the very end of the report of our constitutional duty to demonstrate that no one is above the law. So there's real broad consensus. We have a lot of work to do. We're still in the evidence gathering phase. We need to get the rest of the Mueller report and the supporting documents and really drill down and investigate appropriately and gather all the information that's available so we can make an informed judgment about whether to proceed with impeachment or some other action.
Congressman, when I listen to you in that response, you sound like someone who is taking the Mueller report's handoff to Congress very seriously. Many read that handoff as a handoff to impeachment proceedings. Did you personally advocate for impeachment proceedings on the phone call tonight?
I'm sorry, is that for me, Lawrence?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I said on the call tonight that I thought it was very important that we approach this very judiciously in a sober way, that this is a very grave moment for the country, that we have the responsibility to uphold the rule of law and to show that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, that we had to continue to make sure we got the full report, the unredacted versions. But I said very emphatically that the report evidences obstruction of justice by the president. We know that is an impeachable offense as a matter of law. We know that for sure. So now the question is, we need to get the balance of the information that the special counsel has, the unredacted portions. They may contribute further to this discussion. We need the supporting documents, and we need to hear from some witnesses. What's important to remember, most of the people who contributed the evidence for the obstruction of justice offenses in the report are members of the Trump administration or former members. So this notion of like there are a bunch of Democrats that are after him, these are his own members of his own team. So these are serious allegations, and we have a fact-finding responsibility, an evidence-gathering gathering responsibility. There's a process that we must follow. But I don't think anyone should think impeachment is off the table at all. The Judiciary Committee is going to continue to collect evidence and then make a judgment consistent with that evidence wherever it leads us. And the Speaker made that very clear today, that we will not shirk from this responsibility, and we will collect the evidence, assess it, and do what's right to protect our democracy. It cannot be a political determination. We should never do impeachment for a political reason, and we should also never avoid impeachment for a political reason. And the Speaker has made that very clear, and I think she's absolutely right.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.